Hey guys, welcome to this week's video. We're talking about those chapped lips and how to get rid of them. We're going to be going through all the medical tips on what you can do to get rid of those chapped lips. So let's begin. So welcome to my channel. If you haven't been here before, welcome. We talk about everything medical here on the channel, and the most important thing is all of the information that we give here on the channel is all evidence-based. So we look at the research, we look at the evidence, and we make sure all of the information that you're getting is evidence-based and supported by science, so you know you can trust the information on here. Also, if you're watching this video today and you learned something new, please don't forget to click that like button, because it's going to help the video grow and it's going to make me feel good because the video is getting more likes and helping more people. Also, lastly, before we begin, please remember this entire video is chaptered in the description below, so if at any point you want to find any specific piece of information, feel free to click on the chapters and find that piece of information. However, as I always say, I would advise you to watch the entire video, that way you're going to become a bit of a pro at it. Okay, so first of all, let's make sure that we're all on the same page when we're talking about chapped lips. When we're talking about chapped lips, we're talking about cracked, dry, red lips, okay? And sometimes it can be a little bit painful as well. Now, interestingly, our lips don't have the ability to prevent themselves from getting dry. The reason for this is that we don't have oil glands in the lips to produce the oil to naturally moisturize the lips. So they're very prone to getting dry. Now, there are many different reasons as to why we get chapped lips. It can be from playing instruments, for example, to allergies, to fungal infections, to dry weather, to exposure to the sun, exposure to the wind. So there are many different reasons for what causes the dry lips. And I'm just going to keep moving about whilst doing this video because I'm getting a bit tired of sitting down. And worst of all, when we get dry lips, we tend to lick them and we constantly keep on licking them. And actually our saliva contains certain chemicals which can actually make this process worse, make them feel more dry, and also make them sting a little more as well. Okay, so background done. Now let's jump straight into it. I need you to buckle in because first I'm going to talk about what you can do right now, okay, when you don't have any treatments available. Then we're going to go into the different treatment options available, what works and what is the best in my opinion, okay, looking at the research, what's the best. So first of all, the first thing you need to do is make sure you're hydrated. Make sure you're drinking plenty of fluids because that might be one of the cause. Tip number 2, you need to make sure you're not licking, picking, anything like that. You need to stop it straight away. And tip number 3, avoid spicy food straight away. This can make dry lips worse as well. So that's the 3 things you need to do straight away when you have dry, chapped lips. Now, we're going to discuss the different treatment options available, and I'm going to go through the best and then go through the other stuff as well that helps as well. Now, a little bit of housekeeping before we go into the treatment options, okay, and what you can do. Please remember, if your lips are getting very sensitive, they start swelling, anything like that after using any of these treatment options, stop using it straight away and go and speak to a healthcare professional. If they're bleeding, if they're causing you lots of problems, you need to speak to your healthcare professional about them, okay? So that's just a bit of housekeeping. And before that as well, before you put anything on your lips, please make sure you wash those hands, okay? If you're going to be using your hands and touching your lips, they need to be nice and clean, especially with everything going around in the world right now. Make sure those hands are clean. Now let's begin. Okay, so tip number 1, we couldn't do a dry chapped lips video without talking about petroleum jelly. Petroleum jelly is a fantastic substance at retaining the moisture in. When we apply it on, it basically stops that evaporation of moisture and liquid within the lips, and it's keeping it in. So it's helping to lock it in, and it's really going to help with those chapped lips. So if you don't have any petroleum jelly, you need to go and get some. This is probably one of the most important things, and the best thing about petroleum jelly is it is relatively inexpensive compared to a lot of the other stuff that are available for dry chapped lips. So moving on to tip number 2, which is a personal favorite of mine, which I actually do once every couple of weeks. This involves petroleum jelly and using just your normal daily moisturizer, just a normal moisturizing cream that you use on your face, whether it's a cream or a lotion, it really doesn't matter, but get some of that cream, rub it all over your lips, and then over that, put the petroleum jelly, okay? What this is going to do is we're going to get that moisturizer, then cover it on that petroleum jelly, and that covering is going to prevent that moisturizer from escaping, okay? So it's going to give us this real intense hydration on the lips, especially if you've got very dry lips. This can be very useful, especially if you're on holiday and the climate's different, and suddenly you've got these dry lips. Doing this just for 1 or 2 nights can make a massive difference. I like to do it at night time before I go to bed because I find petroleum jelly is really thick and it usually gets wiped off during the day as well, so it's a bit of a waste. So before you go to bed, when you've done your nighttime routine, you wash your face and all that sort of stuff, slap the moisturiser on, then slap the Vaseline or petroleum jelly or whatever brand it is, it makes no difference, slap that on, then go to bed. And I guarantee you the next day, you will have the most awesome soft lips. Now moving on to tip number 3, aloe vera. There are many aloe vera gels out there that you can use. Aloe vera produces its own gel and it's a really good moisturiser for dry chapped lips. So if you don't like petroleum jelly or you don't like the moisturizer method in tip number 2, tip number 3, you can use aloe vera gel, and this is also really helpful at helping with chapped lips. Now moving on to tip number 4. Tip number 4 is also one of my favorites as well, and it's all about using coconut oil. Coconut oil is actually really good at moisturizing the lips because one, it's going to retain that hydration, it's going to form that barrier, and it's going to keep that moisture locked in, but it also has added benefits. Second benefit is it's actually anti-inflammatory. So if your lips are quite swollen, the anti-inflammatory effect of the coconut oil is going to help with that. And the third benefit is there actually has antimicrobial properties as well as coconut oil. So it's a very amazing ingredient which is really good at helping with dry chapped lips, okay? So if I was to rate these, okay, I would actually probably go for coconut oil as one of my favourite, with petroleum jelly, one of my favourites as well, okay? Now moving on to tip number 5. Tip number 5 is about exfoliating those lips, okay? You've got to remember, when your lips are really dry and chapped and they're really dry, and sometimes you've just got a massive layer of dead skin cells on top of it, exfoliation can be really useful for this. In terms of exfoliating them, there's 2 ways of doing it. You can either do it a physical way, so using a toothbrush for example and gently exfoliating for a couple of minutes, or the option that I prefer is making your own exfoliant, okay? You don't need to go out there and buy anything expensive. It's going to be done really cheaply. All you really need, you can use coconut oil, you can use olive oil, it's completely fine, a bit of sugar, mix it in, rub it on the lips for a couple of minutes, just gently. You don't need to go aggressively, nothing like that. We don't want to cause any damage to the lips. This is the important thing. It's just got to be a gentle exfoliation for a couple of minutes, wash it off. Some people like to leave it on for a couple of minutes as well, it makes no difference. Then wash it off, pat it dry. But the most important bit, once you've done this exfoliation, you need to put on that moisture block, okay? So either the petroleum jelly, the coconut oil, the aloe vera, whichever one you want to do is completely fine, okay? But exfoliation can be really helpful if you've got a big, dry, sort of thick layer on the skin, on the lips especially. This can be really helpful. And moving on to tip number 6. Tip number 6 is all about protection, okay? So you need to make sure that if you are somewhere that's really cold, for example, okay, and the wind's blowing at it, wearing a scarf around the face, around the mouth area, that can be really helpful at protecting the lips and stopping them from becoming damaged. Or even a face mask as well. With everything going around at the moment, people having to wear face masks, they can actually be really helpful as well at protecting you from those elements. Now, one of the common options as well that some people talk about for treating dry chapped lips is using honey. Honey is good, but you have to leave it on for about 20 minutes, and it has many good properties, for example rehydrating, like how aloe vera does, and it also has antimicrobial properties and some anti-inflammatory properties similar to coconut oil. The only downside that I have with honey is that it's such a delicious sweet substance that you're probably going to be very likely to start licking it off your lips, okay? We do it automatically sometimes without even realizing it. So especially if you have to leave it on for 20 minutes and it's this sticky substance, you are probably going to be having little licks, okay? And that isn't going to help, because remember, the saliva contains certain chemicals which is just going to make the dry chapped lips worse. So if you really want to use honey and you know you can sort of refrain from licking it, then by all means try it, but you have to leave it on for about 20 minutes to get the most advantage from it and then sort of wash it off. But if you know you can't, then go for the other options. I would recommend that instead. Now, with all of these products that I've spoken about so far, I've just been talking about using them in their cream or normal state, okay? But you can get them all as a lip balm as well. You can get them online or from your chemist or wherever. But please do remember as well, lip balms really shouldn't be shared, okay? They should be for personal use. I know a lot of people tend to share them, but you can spread quite a few different things by sharing lip balms, okay? Especially if you've got active things on your lips as well. So please remember, don't share lip balms. And if you want to find something that's just easier to use, that you're not having to carry around a cream or a tub or anything like that to put on your lips, I guess lip balms can be very helpful for that. Now, ideally, you want to make sure that your lip balm is hypoallergenic and also that it's fragrance free. These are also 2 important things that are going to help with the dry lips. On top of that, it's also a really good idea to get a lip balm that has an SPF in it. That's for just that added protection, because remember, certain climate exposures can make dry chapped lips worse, and sun is one of them, okay? So making sure that you find a lip balm that has an SPF can be really, really helpful too. Now in terms of ingredients to avoid in your lip balm, please steer away from menthol, eucalyptus and camphor, okay? All of which have been shown that they can make dry chapped lips worse. So give that ingredient section a good little read before you buy any lip balm. Now please do remember there are certain occasions where you should seek medical advice for dry chapped lips, especially if they're swollen, they're bleeding, they're not getting any better. These are definite reasons for you to seek medical attention. Also, please remember sometimes you can get fungal infections of the lips as well, okay? One which is particularly common is something called angular cheilitis, okay? And this is where the actual sides of the lip can have a little fungus infection on them where they keep cracking, okay, and they don't recover, okay? It's usually more prone in, for example, people that have like creases around their mouth, or let's say if you have an overbite or you don't wear your dentures and your mouth obviously creases more in these regions, and then they can get saliva stuck there and it's warm, moist and dark, which is everything that fungus loves, and then that infection happens. So if you feel like you're always getting dry lips on the sides and they're not recovering, they're just constantly there, it could most likely be angular cheilitis. So again, another reason to speak to your healthcare professional to get that checked out, and then they can prescribe something appropriate for it to fix it. Okay, so it looks like we have come to the end of this week's video, and I'm gonna stand up again because I like to move around. We've got to the end. I really do hope that you've found this information helpful. We've gone through the different ingredients to look out for, what to use and how they work. We've gone through what dry chapped lips are, we've gone through when to seek medical advice, and we've gone through what to avoid when you're buying lip balms and what to look for as well. So you are now a bit of a dry chapped lips pro. I really do hope that you find this information helpful. Most likely you're going to find this video because you have dry chapped lips at the moment. So I really do hope that you find this information helpful. And now that you're a pro, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your loved ones, tell everyone, because you now know all about the condition and when to seek medical advice, which is the most important thing. I really hope that you find this information helpful. If you've got any of your own tips, I would love to read it, and I'm sure people watching this video would too. So please leave a comment below for everyone to read. And as I always say at the end of every single week's video, always remember that you're awesome, and I will see you next week. Hey guys, thanks for watching this week's video. Make sure to click that like, follow or subscribe button now to stay up to date with new weekly videos.